Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say, it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Morning. Welcome to a Thursday edition of the program. Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to carry. Glad you're along for the ride. We got a good show lined up today. It's Thursday. We'll have our college football analyst and Heisman Trophy voter Brent Beaird here in just a second. Second portion of today's program, we're kicking off the Baker Sporting Goods High School Roundup. High school football cranks up tonight around the country. And we'll talk to Mike Ridaught from the PrepZone.com about a big matchup between Buchholz and Columbia and many other games this week. But let's go to the Titan MR hotline. And we're joined by, as I said, our college football analyst, Brent Beaird. Good morning, Brent. How are you, buddy?
Shane, good morning. A quick plug, if you don't mind. I'm speaking at noon today to the St. John Sports Club. This is in St. Augustine. It meets in the Corner Bar Restaurant in St. Augustine. That's a lot of fun. Try to do that every year. And Tuesday night of next week, we'll be speaking to the Putnam County Gator Club. That's a really nice group. They feed you and very well, and they are excited about Gator football. So that should be a lot of fun. If folks are listening, feel free to come out. But I think the big thing, obviously, is getting going this weekend with week 0. Now, these are games that probably, Shane, in October, November, we may not watch, but we haven't seen anything in so long that we'll probably watch a little bit of just about every one of them. And again, I think what's important for some of these teams, for Utah State plays UConn. Next week they play Alabama. Florida State plays Duquesne. Next week they play LSU. So hopefully for those teams, that will help them work out a few bugs as they go from game 1 actually to game 2 next week.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It all cranks up Saturday. As you said, a lot of games are on TV. I'm looking, you got all kinds of games on Fox, FS1, Big Ten Network, ACC Network. Nothing on the regular stations, I guess, other than the Fox game, which will be carried by is Northwestern and Nebraska. So, yeah, we're cranking up. One of the games that's interesting to me, I think it's Saturday, this Saturday, maybe it's next week. I saw a clip on Twitter. Stephen F. Austin's playing at Jacksonville State, Jacksonville State is in the state of Alabama. Yeah. And I didn't realize Rich Rodriguez is their head coach.
That's right. Correct.
Was he their head coach last year, Brent?
That game is, and by the way, that game is Saturday. I will double check that, but I think that may have. I think it may have been just. I think it's just this year. Otherwise, we would have heard more about that last year.
Yeah, because was it last year that they upset Florida State in Tallahassee?
Yes.
I think it was a different coach.
I believe it was too, because if it was Rich Rod, we would have heard a lot more about that last year than we did, so I think this is his first year there.
Yeah. The reason I brought that up is I saw a clip on Twitter during his press conference. He said that he had to have one of his big strength coaches go remove somebody that was spying on their practice from Stephen F. Austin.
I saw that too. I was a little bit surprised that he was that stuff. I know. Look, I'm sure stuff like that still goes on, but when you see it in this day and age, it still kind of takes you back, doesn't it?
It really does. We got Brent. John says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melon Law. He says, Brent, I know you love nuggets. How about this nugget? Vandy has more wins over Georgia, 3, than Tennessee has over 15 years.
Yeah, that really tells you where the Vol program has been too. Yes, that's a mouthful there. That's a really good nugget. And by the way, to me, this is a must win for Vanderbilt this weekend as they play a Hawaii team that is still trying to figure things out in a lot of ways. And people may not have heard this, but Timmy Chang is the Hawaii coach. That's a former Hawaii quarterback that put up video game numbers when he was there. Remember, Todd Graham was resigned early in the several months ago, and which was a really bad situation. So they're trying to get things together. They don't have much of a defense, but still, these are games you still got to watch Vanderbilt win this game to believe it.
Before we jump into the notes here, David has a Facebook Live. I have not heard about this. I'm trying to make sense of it. Maybe you've heard something, or David maybe he has some typos. He says, Shane's prediction happened. Texas Sarkisian named a starter, and the big Texas booster who paid Ewers the NIL money had him retract the starter. Another minefield I thought Ewers was the starter. Didn't he announce Ewers as a starter?
Yeah, so he did.
I'm not sure what's going on there. So anyway, all right, Brent. So first of all, let's talk about the one game that I think people that are dying for football are going to watch this week. Nebraska, under Scott Frost, who's under a lot of pressure. They're playing Northwestern in Ireland. What can you tell us about this game?
Nebraska has got the former Texas quarterback, Casey Thompson, as their quarterback. He transferred to Nebraska. They've also got former Pitt offensive coordinator Mark Whipple, who helped Kenny Pickett over the last few months. So I think that will help them. They've also got Trey Palmer from LSU. So they're hoping as wide receiver that he will help them too. Northwestern, they lost Chris Bergen, who led college football in tackles a year ago. Their defense last year was 101 in the nation, so hopefully they have done something to improve that, although their secondary does not return a single player who had an interception. Nebraska has 22 transfers. It's a lot, isn't it? Including 18 first-year players with 184 starts during that time. One of those guys is Stephon Wynn from Alabama. So that they're hoping he's going to help them on the defensive line. But look, this is a game that Scott Frost really needs to win, to say the least. I mean, he got a lot of attention by, I'm sure you saw this, about his strength and conditioning coaches pushing his offensive line, so they're throwing up a record number of times every practice and things of that nature. That I'm sure he was trying to have that sound like he was helping his program, but I certainly don't think that it did.
Brent, any idea why the hell they're playing in Ireland? It's not like Notre Dame's over there.
No. I think it's probably one of these Big Ten situations where they decided that someone invited them to play, and they were able to work out a deal. It certainly would probably be a lot of fun to be over there. I'd be very curious of what the weather would be this time of year. I may be wrong, but I can't imagine it being 95 degrees and 100% humidity like it is here. So, but yeah, and to have an early conference game is a bit surprising, and that's big for both these teams.
Yep, and you haven't heard their coaches complaining about missing out on a recruiting weekend, right?
Yeah.
Real quick, back to the Texas Sarkisian deal. John says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law, Sark initially named Hudson Card the starter, then backtracked and named Ewers the starters after getting a lot of heat from Texas boosters. So maybe that's what it's all about. I haven't followed Texas football like that. So, yeah, if these NIL deals and these boosters are paying these kids X amount of dollars, they're going to be in the coach's ear. I can promise you that. All right, the Oregon Ducks.
Yeah.
The Oregon Ducks are getting ready for the Georgia Bulldogs, but there's still talks about the Ducks going to the Big Ten, right?
Well, in this report, which comes from Brent McMurphy, there's talk about Oregon having some discussions in Chicago with the Big Ten. Now, the understanding is that the Oregon president, the AD, Commissioner Kevin Ward were not involved with this. So this may be one of your third-party deals, or all these discussions come about in different ways, and this is probably one of those. But if you're Oregon, you've got to certainly see how interested they are. And look, some of these guys not mentioned here may have been also involved with this in the background too. So we'll wait and see. But there's still a thought process here that Oregon and Washington are the two teams that the Big Ten would be interested in having. Big Ten is still going to expand. They made it very clear they really want to get to 20-something teams. And what's also in the Big Ten deal is if they add new teams, the media deal will grow up to $10 billion. Right now it's $7 billion, but if they add teams, it will grow to 10. So you better believe if you got a situation like that you're going to add some folks.
Yep. Brent, we got a few new rule changes in the NCAA game. Want to talk about a few of those?
Yeah, these are interesting, some more than others. Players ejected in the second halves of games for targeting might not be suspended for the first half of the next game, depending on the results of an appeal. Now, they've got your schools and conferences can report the potential faking of injuries to the national coordinator of officials, which could lead to penalties for the school involved. You can't do your feet first slide like Kenny Pickett did. You'll be ruled down at the spot. Now, there's a couple here that really may impact the game. Defensive holding now is an automatic first down in addition to the 10-yard penalty. Boy, that would be crushing.
Yes.
To some teams, would it not, Shane?
Yeah, because it's. I mean, I'm waiting for. They're changing all the rules to favor the offense. There's no question.
Yes.
But
yes.
Will they ever change the rule where pass interference in the NFL, like in the NFL, is at the spot of the call? Like it could be a 50-yard penalty. I don't know if they'll ever do that, but defensive holding, automatic first down. I mean, you could have a 3rd and 15, 3rd and 18 or something, and you sack a guy, but damn, nickelback's holding the guy. It's automatic first down. It's gonna change the game.
And replay officials can adjust the clock if a ruling is overturned with less than 2 minutes remaining in the game. So that could help, it could hurt, depending. In the final one here, illegal touching by an ineligible player is a loss of down in addition to the 5-yard penalty. So we'll have to see how these are kind of played out in games. But and like most rules, until we see a game or two, we really won't realize what a lot of this means. So hopefully some of these will help the game.
Are you in the market to buy or sell your home? Darlene Weavy, a realtor with Caldwell Banker M. Paris, will provide you a fast, friendly, reliable service. Call her today, 352-562-1411, to help your dreams come true. Speaking with Brent Beaird on the Titan Number Hotline, we got a Facebook Live here brought to you by Metal Law. John says, QB and Brent, what is the best entrance or tradition in college football? I think the best entrance, I've never seen it live, but when that damn buffalo runs across the field in Colorado and those dudes are running with it, trying to keep it under control, I think that's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
You have one, Brent?
And that buffalo has gotten away a few times too.
Yeah.
I believe South Carolina does enter Sandman. I believe, and the other, boy, I'm just zoning. The one that Virginia Tech does.
Yeah. Metallica. I think it's Metallica or something.
Yes. Yeah. Those two are really special. I remember Virginia Tech was on a Thursday night, and our friend Reese Davis actually got in the crowd and was jumping up and down with the crowd as the team was coming out. So there are a bunch of them, but the ones you mentioned and that I just mentioned are three of the best ones.
Yeah, Asa says he likes when Oklahoma runs out with their wagon. But yeah, that live buffalo is it's amazing how fast buffaloes are. I mean, they can run.
Yeah.
And,
absolutely.
So I think it's cool as crap.
It is, and that Oklahoma schooner is wrecked a couple of times. It wasn't that long ago. Yeah, when you had the turn, it wrecked. And Shane, I know you've seen that. When it wrecks, that whole thing comes apart.
Yeah. Clemson has a cool when they run down the
they do
hill after they touch the rock. Brent, before we move on, I saw this the other day. I took a picture of it. It's a picture of the Alabama coaching staff in 2015.
Yes.
Think about where these guys are as head coaches now and the amount of money they're making. Obviously, Nick Saban, he's over $11 million now. Lane Kiffin, Kirby Smart, Mel Tucker, Billy Napier, Mario Cristobal, all on the same staff in 2015.
Amazing.
That's a lot of money right there.
Well, it is. And by the way, Nick Saban, again, getting a raise a little bit more. I think it's like $500,000 more than Kirby Smart. I mean, look, they're both making around the same amount of money. But the thing that needs to be brought out with Saban, and this is when you know your school has bought into to football, is during the time that Nick Saban has been there, the student population in Alabama it's either doubled or tripled. Now I can even begin to tell you how much money that would be. But at the same time, I'm not saying all those kids coming in or coming in because of football. But someone told me a great story the other day about that they were talking to a student, and that student went to, as a matter of fact, went to Alabama because they saw a Alabama Penn State game on television, and that made them want to go online and look and see what Alabama had for physics. So they decided they'd go to Alabama because of that game was their story. So look, we never know why people make decisions that they do, but safe to say he's had an impact on that university and that community.
No question about it. I also want to remind people we're doing a contest where we'll draw a name on Monday. We're giving away a Gator replica jersey of your choice. You pick the number, the name, and also a Steve Spurrier signed visor. I don't really understand how these contests work, but you got to retweet or tag 3 different people. I don't know how it all works, but we'll have maybe Tammy and Evan can put the link up here on the thing today if you've missed it. But it's on Twitter, it's on Instagram, it's on Facebook. But you got a shot of winning a visor and a jersey with your name and number that you choose on it. All right, Brent, there's still some talk about the SEC going to 9 games.
Well, there is, and there is talk now that once Oklahoma and Texas come in, that's the direction that they're going to go. They're probably going to this 3-6 format, which would be 3 permanent opponents, 6 rotating opponents, and with the view to give them more flexibility as far as the schedules are concerned. So it's not confirmed yet, but they believe that there is now momentum to do that. Which, boy, Shane, I remember it wasn't that long ago when the coaches were adamant that they didn't want to go to 9 games, but now that's where we're going. I think ADs want it. They get better games. It eliminates one of your non-Power 5 games that you've got. So we will, when all this comes to fruition, that should come with it, and it will also help. In other words, Alabama and Florida, it won't be 10 years with this new schedule before a trip from Alabama to the Swamp.
Yeah. Speaking of Alabama, let's start with them around the league. Any news, any injuries, any concerns heading into next week for the Crimson Tide?
They love Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back. He has been incredibly impressive for them. Emmanuel Henderson was a running back. Now he's a receiver, and he's doing well with that. Malachi Moore looks good physically. He's back.
Was he hurt last year, Brent?
Yes. At different times he was. He's a difference maker when he is on the field.
He's a good player. He is very
He really
good player.
is. Yeah, this may be Saban's best secondary, which is a mouthful, but that is very possible. So they are getting ready, and their scrimmages are done. Now they might. Some of these teams this weekend may end up having a special team scrimmage. That sometimes happens too. So we'll wait and hear about that. But the 2 main scrimmages right now are done for all the teams.
The happiest football player in probably the United States is Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
I mean, you go from a stinky, awful Georgia Tech team to being one of the best players on the best team in America, and you got a chance to shine and have fun and win games. So he made a good choice.
He did. He's as good of a receiver as he is a running back. That's going to be interesting to see.
John asked here, Coach Saban's new contract takes him to age 78. Do you think he's coaching that long? How old is he right now? 70?
70. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's a very young 70. I see him coaching at least another 5 years.
Yes. No question. And look, he has no health issues. And what he said is, well, if I retire, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
So coaching is his life, right?
Yeah. You see it all the time. A coach retires. He goes into TV for a year or does nothing, or is an analyst or something, just a volunteer, and then he gets right back into it. Gene Chiswick's a great example. When you coach, you can't get away from it.
You can't.
Arkansas, they had a receiver enter the transfer portal. Was he not getting playing time, or what's the deal with that?
Had 3 catches last year, so probably a little bit of both. It just didn't work out, unfortunately for him. And, I mean, they need receivers, and I think they've got some good ones. But now their offensive line is going to be good. They've got 4 starters coming back, and one of the guys who are coming in, they call it kind of a plug-and-play guy, is Tyquise Crawford. He's from Texas, originally committed to Arkansas, then decommitted, signed with Charlotte, so he's come back type deal. So that will be very interesting, and they're going to be able to run the ball well with KJ Jefferson, Raheem Sanders, Dominique Johnson. We just had 4 offensive linemen coming back. Boy, Shane, they are going to be a load to stop this year, aren't they?
Yeah, physical football team takes on the personality of their head coach. Auburn Tigers had a quarterback battle. Have they officially named anyone the starter yet?
No, but the what it looks like that it's going to be TJ Finley, who obviously has been at Auburn. The amazing thing to me about this is Zach Calzada transfers to Auburn from Texas A&M. the winning quarterback in the Alabama game, and quite frankly, did very little before that game and after that game, comes out of what we understand is like third team at quarterback, which is amazing. So Finley, again, it is unofficial. I think what they're going to do, they start against Mercer, and they've got 5 straight home games. So I believe that they're going to play all these guys and give them, I mean, someone's going to start, obviously, but I think they're all going to see action during the game. Robbie Ashford is the kid from Oregon they really like. He's a dual threat. And they even had a freshman named Holden Journer, who came in and played well during a scrimmage. So they may be a little bit better at quarterback than we think. The problem is I've got their center, Nick Brahms, who's a senior, maybe out for the opener. We will see if that's the case. Tate Johnson will take his spot. So watch Auburn this year. Auburn may be better than we think they are.
I think they're going to surprise some people personally. Gators get some players back, getting ready for the Utah Utes next week.
Yeah, Ricky Pearsall coming back. I think it's great. Ethan White is also back. I was disappointed to hear about Jack Miller's injury. Jalen Kitna obviously will get a chance. And look, if you're a Gator fan and a fan of any team in the SEC, it's important to know who your backup is. This is a very physical league, and things happen. So we will see where that goes. But yes, it's very good to have Pearsall and White back.
Yeah, I saw your note here. What Matt Hayes, what he said here about the Utah game.
Yes.
I can't agree more with that.
Yeah.
Would you want to read that, or do you want me to read it?
17 starters coming back for Utah. Cam Rising, who is a legitimate Heisman Trophy candidate. Physical and fast front 7 on defense. This and look, folks, Shane has been saying this all along. This is a very good football team. I had a guy that was trying to tell me last night on radio that Florida's going to win this game at 20 points. Well, that's not going to happen.
No.
This team is too good. Look, it's not going to be the end of the world if Florida doesn't win it. But the point is, Utah coming in and being overwhelmed by heat and humidity, that's not what's going to determine this game. What's going to determine this game, Shane, as you know, is blocking and tackling.
Yes, no question about it. Yeah, I mean, Utah's a very well-coached team with a lot of good football players that play together. It's going to be a battle. The Dogs, it seems like they've been having a lot of dudes get hurt up there.
They have. And particularly, it seems like at wide receiver, running back, Kyrus Jackson, their wide receiver, was held out of the scrimmage, and that was probably they were trying to determine a lower leg injury, not quite sure. Kendall Milton has a hamstring injury. Now, he feels pretty good about the backup quarterback, as we mentioned a minute ago. Carson Beck or Brock Vandergriff will be able to come in and do well for them. Unfortunately, they had a running back, Andrew Paul, who tore his ACL. So, I mean, and look, the reality for them right now, they don't have a great amount of depth at running back. So I don't know how much he would have played, but he would certainly help them. So, yes, keep your eye on Georgia injuries.
Yeah, and what's interesting is they'll be playing in Atlanta in a couple next week against Oregon, and Bo Nix will be the starting quarterback for the Ducks.
Yes, yeah, isn't that amazing?
It is amazing. Kentucky, obviously, we're all familiar with Chris Rodriguez' suspension, but they have Cavassier Smoke, and then another guy that's a pretty good player at the running back position.
They do. I mean, they've got a good offense regardless that they don't have Wan'Dale Robinson. He's going to the NFL. But, again, I know we emphasize this a lot, but to me it's extremely important. Now, this has not been official unless you've heard something different with this, but and I give Matt Jones credit for this from the Kentucky Sports Network, that Rodriguez will likely be suspended possibly 3 or 4 games. And again, Shane and I put emphasis on this for a while. Chris Rodriguez is a 1,000-yard to 1,200-yard running back. I mean, he is that good. And having him out is going to be very difficult. So they've got Will Levis. That they're still a very good football team. Give them a lot of credit. But Shane, you can't lose Rodriguez and it not affect your team.
No. John says, if Georgia offense has to win games, does Kirby stay with Stetson? Yeah, Stetson Bennett's clearly their best quarterback. I've seen the other guys. He does things you can't teach. I get this question all the time. But, people talk about, Kentucky. We know Doring loves Kentucky. But people look at Will Levis. He's supposed to be a top 10 pick in the NFL. And they're like, they don't see it. I don't understand it, blah, blah, blah. And I try to keep a level head, even though I'm a Gator. I said, okay, tell me the difference between what Will Levis, how he is projected to be a top pick, no different than the Gator quarterback, right? Anthony Richardson's projected to be a high pick, So my point, what I'm trying to say is Will Levis has a lot of talent. Anthony Richardson has a lot of talent. For people to dog how Will Levis plays, they're basically the same guy right now until somebody is very efficient and consistent. Brent, give us some nuggets. I kept you too long. We got to get to Mike Wright out here in a minute. Give us some nuggets before we get you out of here.
Yeah, LSU, they're still trying to figure out what to do with John Emery, the running back. He missed all of last year because of academic suspension. Still don't know who the quarterback's going to be, Jaden Daniels or Garrett Nussmeier. So they're still trying to figure that one out. Also, with, I think, Mississippi State has had a good camp. Martin Emerson Jr. and Emmanuel Forbes are going to be 2 of the better cornerbacks anywhere. Missouri is supposed to have a better defense. That they're going to have to, because last year they were dead last in the conference in rushing defense. So that's going to be very important to figure that situation out. No starter yet at Ole Miss. Luke Altmaier and Jackson Dart are still battling for that. Chad Terrell has tore his ACL at South Carolina. Good night. This is the 3rd time he's tore it in his 6th season. That's terrible. Hopefully he will be able to get well and have a future. Lynn J. Dixon is no longer with Tennessee. And not sure where he's going to end up going. They still have not figured out the eligibility of Brew McCoy. He is a transfer. He is a game changer coming from Southern Cal. Now, Southern Cal says they're not holding him back. He can transfer. They're waiting on a waiver. But this is one of those guys for Tennessee that if they could get him on the field, that would make a huge difference. And one last one, Texas A&M, no starter determined yet. Haynes King, Max Johnson, Connor Weekman. They're going to play against Sam Houston State in their first game. I think all of them will probably play. And again, can't forget Vanderbilt at Hawaii. Mike Wright, the Vanderbilt quarterback. Hopefully he has improved some. But that would be a really big win for Hawaii if they can get it.
No doubt. Brent, great stuff. Enjoy the weekend of college football. It's not real college football, but it kicks off next week. But
yes,
have a good speaking engagement today, and we will talk to you next week, my man.
Look forward to it. Look forward to hearing Mike Wright out, too. Take care.
Yeah, that's Brent Beaird, our college football analyst and Heisman Trophy voter. Join us on the Titan MRI Hotline. Going to take a quick timeout, come back, get to the Baker Sporting Goods High School Roundup with the PrepZone.com's Mike Wright out. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker M.M. Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration points where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Escape Apology, Sushi Hunter, Regal Cinema, Kilwins, Le Macaron, Prime and Pro in the HBC's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, where every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 2:30, you can get the hottest brunch in town. We'll see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. Going to head to the Titan MR hotline now. We're joined by Mike Ridaught from the PrepZone.com and Main Street Daily News, who does a phenomenal job covering high school sports. Good morning, Mike. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic as long as Mother Nature will cooperate. Boy, it was it was a storm last night, so I'm hopeful that Mother Nature will treat us nice tonight.
Yeah, high school kicks off for real tonight. There's a huge one at Citizens Field between the Bobcats of Buchholz and the Columbia Tigers. You're going to be on the call. I believe y'all are going to be streaming it, or tell us how people can listen and watch.
Yeah, actually, we're going to have live video tonight. Actually, Marty Paulman will be on the call. I'll be covering the game, so I'll have a recap at MainStreetDailyNews.com. But Marty Paulman will be on the call along with Cam Parker of InsideGators.com. That's a 7 o'clock kick. They'll be on the air at 6:45 with a pregame coverage. But we're going to stream through all multiple media platforms. You can get it on YouTube, the PrepZone YouTube channel now, also Twitter and Twitch and Facebook. But 6:45 pregame tonight, we'll have live video broadcast of the game. And then tomorrow night, Friday night, I'll be on the radio call of Gainesville and Ocala Vanguard. And also the 7 o'clock game, 6:30 pregame on 106.9 FM. I Am Country, but we'll also have video of that one too, Shane. So the Prep Zone going to be streaming all Gainesville, Buchholz, and Eastside home games this year, which will be a new feature for us.
So for us people that are not technology sound, and we have a lot of listeners that are like that as well. So let's just, since we're on Facebook, we're on all this stuff, but we're on Facebook Live right now. So if somebody wants to watch the game tonight and all season long, they go to the PrepZone.com or just the PrepZone's Facebook page, and then they can click on it and watch the game as they're watching my show today, correct?
Correct, yes. If you are a little bit more advanced, I guess, you can go to the PrepZone on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube page. That would be the best way, but you can still also get it on Facebook Live and also Twitter and Twitch.
Okay, awesome. We have a question.
And we'll have links up at the PrepZone.com to even simplify it for people. Just go to the PrepZone.com and you can get it there as well.
Awesome, because we're idiots when it comes to this, Mike.
I understand.
John asked here, Mike, will there be a video of the Florida High Trinity Catholic game?
That'll be a great game. Not that I'm aware of. I don't remember if Trinity Catholic is part of the NFHS network. So if they do video stream it, well, actually that game, if I'm not mistaken, Shane, is in Tallahassee this year. I'm not sure if Florida High would be broadcasting the game or not.
Okay. Camp asked about our contest. Yeah, it's on this link here. I think it's at the top of the page, Camp. Okay, Mike, let's go back. Probably the biggest game in the state is the one that's being played tonight. Buchholz is loaded with talent. We know Columbia always has some talent. Just give us your breakdown of tonight.
Well, first of all, you're going to have Division I athletes all over the field tonight. This is a big game. Buchholz made a run all the way to the Class 7A state semifinals last year. They lost to nationally ranked St. Thomas Aquinas of Fort Lauderdale in the state semifinals. So they were just within one game of playing for a state title last year. Columbia was also in the playoffs, but they did get beat in the first round by Riverside of Jacksonville, which is formerly Robert E. Lee. And actually, Buchholz has lost, I believe, 6 in a row in the series. So they've got this game at home tonight at Citizens Field. You know, we know that they are very talented. They've got Creed Whittemore back at quarterback. He is a University of Florida commit. They've got defensive lineman Gavin Hill back. He also is a Florida commit. Defensive lineman Kendall Jackson. He's uncommitted at this point, but he does have an offer from the Gators. And then on also a big transfer in chain was Jaron Hamilton, who has an Alabama offer. He transferred from PK Young. He's a wide receiver. In fact, Creed Whittemore and Jaron Hamilton hooked up on a 70-yard touchdown pass this past Friday in the preseason game at Trinity Catholic in Ocala. So this is a loaded Buchholz team. Very good line of scrimmage. They will have to replace their top 5 leading tacklers, but I just mentioned a couple of guys that you plug in there, Division I guys. I think they're going to be okay. You know, and they played pretty well. They beat Trinity Catholic 28-7. Not a full game, but just a chance to kind of warm up and get ready for the season. They had 3 interceptions in that game, and of those 3 interceptions, 2 of them were pick sixes. Jakari Kelly is another guy who's going to be a phenomenal receiver for them this year. He's already got a couple of smaller offers. Army, I believe Army and Navy and Delaware are his 3 offers so far. He might get another opportunity, a bigger school if he has a big year. You know, but you wondered what would this Buchholz team be like this year without Quan? And I think they've answered that in Jakari Kelly. He had one of their pick sixes. They had 2 of them. Gavin Hill had the other one. So even though they lose such a good, the all-time leading receiver in Alachua County history, I don't think they're going to miss a beat. I think they potentially, you know, with this new classification, new alignment thing, yes, they may have to go through a Venice, for example, but they won't have to go through a St. Thomas Aquinas to get to the state championship game. So I really like Buchholz to have a big year. Then you look on the other side with Columbia. They've got Camden Fryer, who has transferred from Sewanee High School in Live Oak. He's an FSU commit. And also Tyler Jefferson, who is a Central Michigan commit. He transferred from Hawthorne. He led Hawthorne to the state championship game last year. He's the quarterback this year for Columbia. So there's some, like I said, there's a lot of talent on the field for both teams, and really looking forward to see how this one turns out. But yeah, I mean, Quan Lee, obviously a big loss, Shane, but as I mentioned, there's a lot of good pieces there for this Buchholz football team.
Yeah, they're very well coached, and they will make a deep run this year, no question. Let's talk about some of the other big games in North Central Florida. You just mentioned Gainesville and Vanguard. Back in the day, that used to be a bloodbath. I would think Vanguard's just got a little too much talent for them. Give us a breakdown of those 2 teams.
Yeah, another situation where Gainesville has lost 6 in a row coming into this series. Vanguard went 11-1 last year. They lost to Orlando Jones in the 6A regional final. Edwin Farmer is back for his 8th season. They've got, you know, again, a young team. Coach Farmer told me that even though they're young, they've got athletes. I mean, they've always had athletes. Fred Gaskin at quarterback, he's back. He kind of split time last year. But I think that they've got enough pieces to be Vanguard again. Now, are they going to be good enough to finally get past that region final, get to a state semifinal game? I'm not sure, because there are some question marks about this team, but I think they should be able to handle a Gainesville team, which, even though Gainesville's coming off a big year last year, let's give them props. They won the 6A District 4 title. They did lose to Tallahassee Lincoln in the first round of the 6A state playoffs, but the fact that Doc Pollard was able to take this team from really, you go back to the COVID year when they only played 6 games, Shane. They missed an entire month of games during the pandemic. So they kind of turned things around in a big way last year, finished 8-3, but they've got to replace their quarterback, Shuby Coleman, who has transferred to Williston. He threw for almost 700 yards last year. They've got to transfer from Eastside, Mason Zwelling. We'll see how he does, but he's only a sophomore. So, that's going to be tough going up against a physical and aggressive Vanguard defense. And then also Gainesville lost their their running back, Kyrie Edwards. He also has transferred to Williston, and he ran for almost 900 yards. So I'm not sure Gainesville will be as good as they were last year. I think Vanguard could be as good as they were last year. I think Vanguard will win this game on Friday night.
Yeah, I agree. At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Speaking with Mike Ridaught from the PrepZone.com and Main Street Daily News. Mike, we just got a text from an anonymous texter. He says he's already gone to YouTube, typed in PrepZone for the game tonight, but he needs more info than just typing PrepZone to find it. Please help.
Yes. Type in the PrepZone with no spaces. ThePrepZone, the PrepZone, no spaces, and he should be able to find our show from last night will pop up. I had the St. Francis Catholic Academy football team on the show last night. They've got a new head coach this year, James Langham. In fact, Shane, there are 3 new Alachua County head football coaches. Harold Gator Hoskins is back to his alma mater over at Eastside High School. Joe Szymanski, who was a part of the last state championship team at Santa Fe, 1994, I believe. He's back as the head coach at Santa Fe. He was the offensive coordinator at Union County last year. So 3 new head coaches in Alachua County. 5 of the 6 coaches in the Tri-County area, which is that Bell, Bronson, Chiefland, Dixie County, Trenton, Williston area. 5 of the 6 head coaches are first-year head coaches. Bradford and Stark's got a new head coach. A lot of new head coaches this season.
No doubt. Speaking of Santa Fe, I think they had their big rivalry against Newberry. Talk a little bit about that game.
Yeah, always a big rivalry game. I mentioned the fact that Santa Fe's got a new head coach. Newberry, I'm not sure how much the preseason game is an indicator of how the season is going to go. But Newberry did lose to a Wildwood team that I do think will be pretty good this year. They lost 34-0. So Santa Fe, they went to West Nassau and Callahan, and they lost a close one in that one. Should be a good test, early season test for both of these teams. But for Santa Fe, again, they just want to get some momentum going because they really struggled last year under the previous head coach. And, it might be a slow start to the season. I think Santa Fe will win this football game, but I'm expecting a close one at Newberry tomorrow night.
John says here on Facebook Live, Mike, what is your season outlook on 1A this year? What teams from this area? I mean, 1A football, to me, there are so many good teams in this area.
Yeah. And I think, Shane, it's going to be kind of what we saw last year. The 3 best 1A teams from this area last year were Chiefland, Union County, and Hawthorne. Hawthorne went all the way to the state championship game. They lost to Madison County by 1 point in the state championship game. They've got a team that's loaded with Division I players as well. Even though they lost Tyler Jefferson at quarterback, Cornelius Ingram's son, CJ, is going to step in. He'll be the quarterback, and that offensive backfield is loaded. They got Brian James back at running back, but they've added in some transfers too, Shane. They're going to be really good. And, the last couple of years when I've watched Hawthorne play, the thing that's been impressive to me is just how big their offensive and defensive lines are. I mean, they are mammoth. And they've got a guy in Jalen Ruth last year who led the team with just over 100 tackles. He had 29 tackles for a loss. He's coming back. He finished 3rd in the voting for the 1A Player of the Year. Stanley Cooks is a Georgia State University commit. They've got several guys that have committed to Division I schools. But he's back for his senior season. He had 8 sacks, 18 tackles for a loss. They've got some players there at Hawthorne. I think they will definitely be in the mix. Union County was undefeated going into the game at Chiefland last year, and they were able to make a run all the way to that region final, and they came up 2 points short. I think Union County is going to be really good this year. I mean, we could see, I don't know how it will play out. I'm guessing, possibility we could see 2 area teams going head-to-head for the right to advance to the state semifinals. But that Union County team is going to be really good this year. Andrew Thomas, who won a couple of state titles at Trenton High School. won his 100th game overall last year. This is a good football team, Shane. We talk so much about Hawthorne. Yeah, but as good as Hawthorne is, Union County is not that far behind. They've got a really good running game. They've got 9 starters back on offense. They got 6 players back on defense. So veteran offense. They only lost 1 offensive lineman, AJ Cortese, their quarterback. It's rare that you've got a guy that is 6'4" playing quarterback. So that's a nice luxury for Union County to have Cortese at quarterback, and he's just one of their weapons. They've got Rayvon Durant back. He led the team with almost 1,500 yards rushing. So Union County's going to be really good, but I think Chiefland's going to be really good again this year too. So, I tell you, those 3 teams in particular, Hawthorne, Chiefland, and Union County, any of those are good enough to get to a state championship game in 1A this year.
I agree. We got an anonymous text
or
here.
1R, I guess we should say.
Yeah,
I hate the new rural suburban metro stuff. It's going to take me a little while to get used to that stuff.
No doubt. We got an anonymous texter asking me, when am I going to have Brady Ackerman on to talk about his football team? Brady no longer coaches at Bellevue. He is out in Texas now. Last thing, Mike, before we let you go, John wants to know, have they announced where the state championships will be this year?
Yeah, I believe so. I think they're going to be at the same location as they were last year. I don't know if they've announced the bigger classifications, but I'm pretty sure I saw that Tallahassee was going to be hosting again this year. Actually, let me see. Gene Cox Stadium will host the 1M, 1R, 1S, and 2S, and then the 2M, 3M, 4M, and 3S and 4S. I know, I hate it. Those will actually be in Fort Lauderdale this year.
Okay. Well, good stuff as always. Let them know one more time where they can check out the stuff on the PrepZone and then read your stuff at Main Street Daily News.
Yeah, one thing that you will find at the PrepZone and Main Street is our regional all classification rankings. We rank the top 20 high school football teams across 26 counties. No surprise, I guess, that Buchholz is our number 1 team coming into the year. Jacksonville Bulls is number 2, Trinity Christian number 3 of Jacksonville. So you can find both of those, or you will today at the PrepZone.com and MainStreetDailyNews.com. But I just wrote an article this morning about Chiefland. That'll be posted today. Also, Williston, I wrote about that. You can find that at MainStreetDailyNews.com. I'm typically writing about an article every weekday, and I'll have recaps of both the games that I mentioned tonight and tomorrow. I'll have a recap of Buchholz game against Columbia late tonight at MainStreetDailyNews.com, along with that Vanguard Gainesville game as well.
Okay, we just got a text from Robert. He wants to know your thoughts on Ocall.
Ocall, I think, they're looking to extend their streak. They have been to the state playoffs, I want to say 7 straight years, 8-4 a couple of years ago, or a few years ago, pre-COVID. But then last year, because of COVID, Shane had to drop down to 8-man football. But then when they returned to 11-man football, they still made the postseason. I think it's just going to be a young team. They just actually played against PK Young and beat PK Young again, for whatever that means, in a preseason game. But the fact that they were competitive against PK Young, I think they've got a chance to get back to the postseason this year. Maybe similar to what they did last year, but again, it's a young team. How quickly they develop will determine their future.
Yep. Good stuff as always, Mike. Look forward to listening to the call and watching the game tonight. Be safe, and we'll talk to you later on in the year, my man.
All right, Shane. Thanks for the time. Have a great day.
Yep, that's Mike Ridaught. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. Ryan says on Facebook Live that GHS returns their O-line, but lost all their playmakers. Could be a long year for GHS and Doc Pollard. Yeah, they did lose some good players off last year's team, no question about it. Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit OgreInsurance.com. Call us today at 352-240-1779. Hope you enjoyed today's program, folks. We do have that contest going on. Again, retweet, tag 3 people, have them follow. Like I said, it's our contest, and I don't even know the damn rules. But we are giving away to one person, which we will draw on the show or let you know next Monday or this coming Monday, a Steve Spurrier signed visor, and a replica jersey, which you will like. I promise you. They are awesome. You get to choose the number, name, and size. So make sure you go do that. Have a great week. It's not the weekend. I keep thinking it's Friday night because we had Mike Ridaught talking high school football. We'll be back here tomorrow for sure. But enjoy your evening, and hope you enjoyed today's program. Be safe, folks, and we'll talk to you later.
1st and 10. Matthews, near side, wide open, Alonzo Sullivan. He may go. Touchdown, Gators.